What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another Discord Friday where I take your pictures off of Discord and we review them to see what we could do better or not do anything better at all. And the best part about this is if it's not your work, you can still learn from whatever we are going to be talking about. I do welcome you to the Warehouse Series. If you're not a subscriber, guys, I really appreciate the subscribers and thumbs up. And if you're not a member of that Discord community, we have over 400 people all around the world helping people out over there. You post your pictures, you post your work. And you're going to get people, not just me, but other people critiquing your work and helping you do a better job in the warehouse. All right, so the first pallets we're going to look at are Aaron's from Discord. And guys, if I ever repeat someone's pictures, I really apologize. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming on Discord. Discord is not the easiest format to go. I got to scroll through everybody's conversations back and forth to find pictures. With that being said, guys, great looking pallet. This is what we talk about stacking, column stacking in the produce. We got 5 block running all the way up to the side of this, so I would imagine the other side's a 5 block as well, and we column stacked it all the way up. We're uneven, we're not even with our front column, so we're just going to keep column stacking it. You can get away with these bigger boxes column stacking like this without a doubt. On the back, we got 6 grapes back here. I am so petty when I build. This case right here, I would make sure that it's all the way on the edge of the thing, because this could cause a problem with this top crate being pushed up. It's how I build. I am very particular the way I build. I also look for these boxes. Anytime I have open boxes in the produce where you have the grapes and whatever else are there, the nectarines and stuff like that, I always look for these big solid apple boxes to put on top of these grapes in these open boxes. But if they're not within your order, then there's really not much you can do about it. But the way you stack on top of your grapes is the best you can do. These grapes are open in the middle of the box and they are not easy to stack on, so you did a great job of stacking this. Let's take a look at the other side. All right, so the other side I like as well. Once again, we got a straight column stack. What do I tell you? It takes just one case going the opposite direction and tied back in to take the weight off of this column. This mushroom did just that. Now, would I do that down lower with the mushroom? No, because these mushrooms are open boxes too, and they will crush. But we got boxes that are big enough that are sitting on each side of the cardboard that comes in on the mushrooms. And we tied in with the mushrooms, and then we got cases going the opposite direction. So this case in the middle right here is taking pressure off of this corner, rocking. So very well executed pallet. Looks good. Let's look at your last picture. All right, so this is another order of yours. Once again, it looks like we're in the meat department now, frozen foods. Front pallet is really well done. We got a case in the middle with no pressure on it. Nothing's going to harm that case. And we took the opportunity to tie in we tied in the first 2 layers and then we column stacked. And basically we column stacked after that. I told you, you have to have a tied in. When you have these bigger boxes, that's all it takes is that one. You got 2 tie-ins and then you column stacked. Now picture if this was all column stacked, like we were talking with Trevor that one time on the one video. If you column stack too many of these, they will crush. It's all about weight distribution, taking the weight off of a certain area. I also want to go to your back pallet here. This is for new selectors. There's 2 things. I know this pallet, it's possible it was done, but if we had a full pallet, there's 2 things you always want to remember. Cases to the outside of the pallet. You never want to leave it short like this. You want it all the way to the perimeter of the pallet, not hanging over, but to the edge of the pallet. And another thing I would do is, once again, this might be his final product, but if I had a full pallet, all of these open cases would be stacked in a corner. The last thing you want to do is spread open cases around. This goes for anything, guys, whether you have grapes, anything, open clementine boxes. You are better off tomatoes. You are better off grouping these together so you have more box to stack on with items that are coming up. So if we would have put all these crates in this corner, we would have had a lot of cardboard to stack on and not these open containers. Once again, he might be done with his order, but I just want to throw that in there. All right, so the next picture I want to look at is Tom Hardy over on Discord. We looked at some of his pictures last week, and you can see we got these sideway boards. All right, there's a couple things I want to point out on this palette, or in this order, I should say, especially for new selectors. Do not get in the habit of throwing boards up over your head. I totally disagree with this. To me, personally, there was no reason to do it because you got 2 level pallets that you could easily stuck these boxes on top of. no need to try to get hurt and do extra work than you have to do. To me, it's also wasting time, and we could have eliminated these pallets, and they could damage the product too. When you're throwing these white pallets on top of bags, there's nails sticking out of them. They could easily rip the product open. But all the way around, I would not ever do this. Another thing I want to talk about is how nice and square we are. We got buckets together. Remember, keep like cases together. If you have two solid cases, 9 times out of 10, I am putting them on a corner because I want to form a nice solid corner. But other than the pallets in this middle section, so what would I have done with the middle section? First and foremost, it's not going to push anything over. We got nice solid corners, so more than likely we're not going to push anything over unless one of these bags started falling in, which I don't see that happening either. But me personally, I would never continue on with my pallet with this like this. I would move it around. What I probably would have done if this Propel would not have fit on top of this Propel, I would have removed the Gatorade and the Propel. I would have dropped the cat food because it's bags, it's contents, I can move around. I would have got that to fit on top of the Propel, and then I probably would have dropped my Gatorade down with the Propel on top. Too much going on here in the middle for my likings. New selectors, this will knock over your stuff. All right, we got solid corners, but if you are a new selector, you definitely don't want the middle of your pallet looking like this. All right, this next pallet is BMO22. Somebody new on Discord, and they just put this up. They're throwing very high standards, and they are building very excellent pallets. There's a couple things here I would have done differently. And remember, guys, I am talking to new selectors. When someone builds like this, they're on their own. They have their own system. I'm not trying to change them. It's the same with the other person. Liquid's upside down. I just highly recommend not putting any liquid upside down. Guys, I promise you, I get that you want the flat cardboard. Same with this. I won't even put this upside down because these lids crack easy. Always upright with everything I possibly can when it comes to these containers. You're putting them upside down because you want this flat cardboard. I promise you, flipping these cases upright, you're going to get the same results. So I highly recommend not turning these cases upside down. This case looks like it has a perforated line. It's up towards the top of the pallet, and you only got one case on it. It's not going to matter that much. Any cases that have this perforated line, I put them lower. If it was any lower, I would not have it on its side. You want to try to keep them upright because they will pop open. Other than that, what a great pallet. We got our troublesome sour creams in the middle, it looks like down here. We have, look, guys, boxes, arrows pointing up. You want to point them up. You don't want them upside down. You don't want them on their sides. Anything with arrows on them, always have them pointing up. With cases together. Never put these on a corner unless it's high and up in the front where you can get away with it. But look at this, guys. Tie in. We got a slip sheet here. Just a very well executed pallet. I have nothing negative to say about it except for whatever I just pointed out. And honestly, to this person, it's probably not even negative. So, but for new selectors, just watch what I said. All right, so the next person I'm going to look at is T-Mac. The first thing I thought of whenever I seen this is holy colors. We got about 8 colors going on in this order right here. I've never seen such a colorful palette. But with that being said, guys, look, we're nice and square on the palette. We got bigger boxes on the outside. Yes, we have some holes in the middle, but we got bigger boxes leaning into each other. Sometimes when you're throwing these orders, sometimes you don't get any small cases. Maybe you're getting big case after big case after big case, so you got to make it work as much as possible. But look, we got a high corner, low inside. High corner, low inside. Yeah, we got nothing here. If this was any lower on the pallet, I would have definitely maneuvered something around here. But since we're at the top of the pallet, you can get away with that gappy in there. But definitely a nice constructed pallet. So let's get on to the next one. All right, so these next 2 photos, I have no idea who they belong to. If you recognize them and you want to leave your name in the comment section below, go ahead and do so. I had these saved and I forgot to put a name with them. So we're going to look at your back pallet first, and then we're going to look at your front pallet. Right here, the same thing I was saying last week. You got a high and a low. The last thing you want to do is tie that high and low in. Nothing ever comes out good of tying a high and a low. We got a high inside. All right, we got a high inside, low corner. We got a high inside, low corner. We want to get away with this. We want high corners, low inside. The whole inside of this pallet is high, and you could tell because of the way this case is right here. It's leaning towards the outside. It's higher in the middle than it is on the outside. This back pallet, we're asking for a lot of trouble. What is coming of this is you're trying to fill in every single gap that you could possibly fill in, even if the case doesn't fit there. This is filling in a gap, even if the case doesn't fit there. I always say 90 to 95% of the time, you will find a case that's going to fit there. Don't force cases in. Keep building up around it and wait for your case to come. All right, your next pallet, or your next picture, I should say, is the front pallet. And looking at this is a lot better. You know, we got a level corner, and we tied it in, and we kept it going in that same direction. So we got smaller cases in the middle, keeping light cases together. All these cases are the same. I like what you did here. I like the tie-in right here. We got level, so why not take the opportunity to tie it in? This isn't bad. See how we're still level? We have a little gap hanging off over here, but we're not tying in this case to this case. We don't have that 45-degree angle going. But your front pallet looks good. The back pallet definitely needs work. But your front pallet, you did a great job on. All right, so the last picture I'm going to look at is Curtis over on Discord. And all what I could say is when you get all these smaller cases, you definitely want to try to tie in as much as possible. The columns going all the way up with these smaller cases, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for a whole corner to fall over. I personally, I don't mind how you did this, though. When you have a lot of smaller, different cases, I like the way you started this. I don't mind the cans being in one corner. I don't mind this stuff. I like your grouping together down here. We got nice and level right here, but we didn't take advantage of it. Anytime I get level, I don't even care if it's the slightest lip off on the inside. When you have all these mixture of cases, it's the opportunity to try to tie in. So I would have turned two cases facing back and try to tie in that corner. And I would have tried to tie in probably around here somewhere. Yeah, I would have definitely tried to tie in somewhere, but you kept square. You're nice. Just the columns with these smaller cases, you got to be looking out for. And another thing I would have did, if this is your end product, guys, we don't always have to build up the front pallet as high as we can get it, especially when you have a load that's probably shaking like this. I would have took probably all the way, this whole top layer, right above the Sweet Baby Ray's, would have been all on my back pallet. Why chance it? Why chance having your pallet fall over unless your warehouse is super strict about building your front pallet up as high as you can get it? And then I guess you have to do it. Maybe just throw some wrap around there real quick and then call it a day if you have wrap machines. But I would have definitely utilized my back pallet with some of the product on top of this just to make it not as unsturdy with these columns. But I like everything else. You're grouping cases together, skinny cases in the middle. You got the concept. You got the right idea. We just need to try tying this. And when I say tie in, I don't mean the whole layer. I don't mean we got to tie in the whole layer. We could tie in this corner to the middle. That's tying in. That's what I'm talking about. Or we could tie in this front corner to this front corner. All right. So so it's just tying in the corners. I said that before. Draw that cross right in the middle of your pallet, and each corner you can column stack, and then when you get the opportunity to try to tie those corners in, you want to try to tie them in. All right, guys, so that's the last picture for today. Keep sending in those Discord pictures, and I will put you on a future video, and I appreciate everybody's support on the channel. I'll see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day.